Hi guys, welcome back. Got a tip for you on putting back together. It's a Kershaw 1555 Ti. I had a problem with it opening. I would go to push it open and normally it would spring as the fast opening system that Kershaw does, but it wouldn't open all the way. I had to manually open it. Came to find out it was this torsion spring, that's what they call it, was broken. It from wear and use, and I think leaving it shut too much or just over time it just wore out. It lasted pretty long time for me. Pretty decent knife. Uh, First tip would be when you're taking it apart, try to lay your screws out in the pattern that you got them, not like I've got here. So if you take the screw out from here, put it right there and lay out the pattern. That will make things a lot easier for anything you're putting back together. It's not just for knives, it's for anytime you take screws out. Sometimes I need Nerf guns, and I usually try to leave them in the plastic or in the shell somehow, or lay them out in the pattern, which I took them out. It helps with putting them back together. Fortunately with these, most of them are pretty much the same, so I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. There are a couple different ones I'll have to identify. And then there's this main big one, which is for this bolt right here. So when you're putting this back together, this is just how I've chosen to do it. If you find a better way, please leave a comment down below. If it can help somebody out, that's the purpose of this channel. So when you're putting this back together, I was chosen to start on this side. It was in a video I saw. It seemed to work well, so we're going to go with it. You can put this, there's two of these washers right here together. There's two on the other side, and then two on this side, and one person recommended using, he used lubrication, and then he used a grease over here to hold this torsion spring in place. I'm not going to go out and buy special grease or to put a knife back together. I don't really care that much about my knives. I kind of just use them, abuse them. Knives are fairly cheap. Anyways, I digress. So you're putting it back together. I put some honing oil on here just to kind of help lubricate them. Honing oil is used for sharpening knives. Sometimes I use it on knives to to help lubricate them. I've got a switchblade knife that I use that sometimes when I push it out, it doesn't eject all the way, and I use honing oil on this knife. When it does that and it won't eject all the way and lock, it kind of just comes out and stops. I'll put honing oil on this, push the button a few times, and then it will be back to good. So using it on this should work. Once you get the blade into place, get a little bit of oil on it if you want. If you don't, it's not going to bother me. Put the torsion spring into place. Make sure it is like this. That is how it's supposed to be. And then you take this housing plate. I don't really know what it's actually called. That's what I'm calling it. It's a little housing plate. And you put it on here. There is a washer. There's supposed to be a washer. There it is. So, I get my washer. Take this little washer. And I'm going to put it in right there. Get off my finger. There we go. Got it. So got that little washer in place. And then we're going to put our torsion spring housing plate, or whatever the heck this is supposed to be called, right on there. It kind of fits into the grooves. Should kind of set down in there. Okay. And there was a video I watched on how to put this back together. Kind of skimmed over a little bit. And he recommended you holding it, some people say holding this plate, and then trying to finagle it and get it back on there. You do have to get this little end of the spring, I don't know if the camera will show it, that little end in this little bitty hole. Okay, so when you do put it on there, you do have to line those two up. And he said just hold this and try to finagle it on there, but he had an issue with the plate falling off. Well, I remember when I was taking the knife apart, that I had to unscrew screws, these little guys over here, from both sides of these post things. Okay, these were in the knife, and they go in these positions right here. So what I'm going to do, you won't see it in this video because I'm going to have to stop because of stuff. Hold this in place, put the screws in on the other side of this, and that will hold these posts in place, which will then hold this plate in place which will then it should make it easier to put it back on there. And you kind of just tighten down a few screws and you should be done. And then put the clip back on. So that's the tip for the day. Big tip is when you put this housing plate back on, put the screws on the other side of this to hold the plate on, then put the two halves back together. As always, if you guys have comments, please leave them below. I'll be glad to hear from you guys. Glad to hear when you guys like the videos. Somebody even gave advice. Hey, don't mumble. Trust me, I'm working on it. It's been a lifelong struggle not to mumble. Doing whatever I can for you guys, help you guys out. If you come up with a better way to do this, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm more than willing to do whatever it takes to help out people. That's what this channel's all about, is things I figured out. A channel for tips how to make life a little bit easier, because life's a little hard sometimes. So if you've got a better way, please comment below. And as always, if you'd like to see anything special or a video you'd like to see me make next, please leave a comment down below and I'll be glad to make the video if I can. Y'all have a good day.